Dude, don't pray in between every single. Have you ever been in a service where it's like in between every single song, the worship leader's like, God, that really is the cry of our heart. And then we'll just like summarize what we just sang. It's like, dude, we just sang that for 4 minutes. Like,
you're literally, that is what I do.
Stop. You do not.
That's every single time I lead worship, I have to put in as much time for my diatribe as I do for the songs. It's the only way I bring any value.
You're such an idiot.
YouTube's Joel Auge leading worship.
No, it's
Is
like
this true?
No, it's not. No, seriously. Like they'll get up and they're like, "Hey guys, I just, today I was reading my Bible." It's like, no, you weren't. Are we starting?
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast.
Episode 9.
Episode 9. We have Joel Auge here.
No, Falpher Softfoot is his name.
What's his name?
Falpher Softfoot.
Falpher Softfoot.
Bonjour, it is me, Falpher Softfoot.
That's his D&D name.
Is it really?
I have a character that I play weekly on a Dungeons and Dragons live stream who's called Falpher Softfoot.
Okay, can we just stop for a second and figure out what is happening on this podcast? So, your name used to be Joel Auge.
It was at one point.
Yeah.
Which that was there's so many things coming to my head right now. One of the reasons he told us last night that his music career didn't take off was because he had an unpronounceable last name. Joel Auge.
Well, I mean, Capstone took off. There was that.
Well, his Joel Auge one though.
Yeah, my solo career could never succeed.
Yeah, but you didn't really try.
Okay.
Integrity's like, here's $100,000 to make a record.
Yeah.
He makes a record and then he's like, yeah.
That's not what happened. I tried on the record, but then my internet gaming career, like building software, actually took off.
Yeah.
So that stopped me.
Okay, so this is actually great for a lot of worship leaders out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I met Joel. So Joel was leading a band in Canada that was like when Dave Matthews Band was huge. Your band was like the Dave Matthews Band of worship.
That's good. That's a fair. I mean, we were a jam band with a bunch of jazz musicians on it. Yeah,
totally.
so that's fair.
And like the live shows were just like, wow, these guys are insane. Everybody knew that you guys were really good players. But then on top of all that, you have like, in my opinion, one of the best voices I've ever heard.
Seriously.
Yeah. So long story short, and then Joel is an insane songwriter. So he's like, think of like a guy who appreciates like Paul McCartney and Genesis, and like songwriting, but then really great voice, and then like this really great
and an
band.
ultra nerd as well.
Totally ultra nerd. So anyways, long story short, his band was huge in Canada in the 90s, and that's when I first saw you. I was like 12, 13, 14 years old, and I was like, Capstone, it's insane.
Which, by the way, they were playing 300 shows. They did 300 shows in 2 years.
Wow. Yeah. Totally. I believe that because they were playing, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what happens is you start this company with
a friend, another believer.
Yeah.
I quit. I had to quit my music career because I guess I wasn't making any money and I had just gotten married. So when Michelle, starts bringing in actual decent coin, and let's call that 40, 50 grand a year between two jobs. Yeah. And I'm pulling in $800 a month, which is technically $3,000 below the poverty level in Canada at the time.
Right.
There are things that needed to change.
Sure. So you start this company with your friend, and what was the idea behind it?
Well, we basically, we were actually just learning about Facebook. We had a friend who was an early employee at Facebook, and he called us up and he's like, hey, we noticed that you guys are doing online web apps, just like on the in-browser web apps. And this was what I was doing on the side just as a side gig.
Right.
And he's like, we'd love to, if you guys would build stuff on Facebook. And at the same time, there was this other company in Toronto who wanted to use Facebook to reach out to business clients. Anyways, long story short, we ended up making one of the first games on Facebook called Mouse Hunt. Okay. There were no games on Facebook at the time. Right. And it just like exploded. Just within a month. We knew, holy crap, we are actually going to make money doing games on Facebook.
Yeah.
And that still runs today. Like it's our 16th year in operation. There's a bunch of employees in downtown Toronto. My co-founder Brian still runs it. I'm the bystander of of a blessing that happened in the 90s and early 2000s.
That's
or
crazy.
the mid 2000s. Sorry.
And one of the games, I believe, was called Mouse Hunt.
Yeah.
And like, I remember when I met you, like I was about 24, 25 years old.
Yeah.
And you told me that 1 in 11 Singaporeans
Was playing Mouse Hunt. Yeah.
was playing Mouse Hunt.
Yeah. It was just huge in
Right.
Singapore.
Right.
Huge in like East Asia, just a massive
Right.
game.
Can you play it anywhere still?
You can still play it on Facebook. It's the longest running game on Facebook.
And and people buy virtual cheese.
Yep.
In Mouse Hunt.
Yeah, it's like we introduced virtual goods on Facebook. So prior to Mouse Hunt, there was no game on Facebook where you could buy a virtual good and increase your gameplay or make it better or be better, succeed in the game.
Right.
So we were the initiators of that whole space, and that's now a multi-billion-dollar social gaming is a multi-billion-dollar industry now.
Right.
So what came after you? Farmville?
Yep, Farmville. There's a bunch of other
Jetman. Did you guys ever play Jetman?
Oh yeah, Jetpack.
Jetman. Yeah.
Clash. I play Clash.
Yeah,
Clash Royale.
Clash Royale's amazing.
I remember my parents got in an argument one time because my mom was spending too much money on Farmville.
Okay, get this.
Oh my God.
So I get called into Mike Coleman from Integrity Music's office because I'm signed to Integrity Music at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And he sits me down and he's like, Joel, he was the president and founder of Integrity Music, by the way. He calls me in and he's like, Joel, really love, your songs. Thanks for joining the team. I'd like for you, if you could, to send an email to the staff asking them not to play Mouse Hunt anymore. Because it's become a workplace distraction. There's a bunch of staffers at Integrity who are just playing Mouse Hunt every day instead of actually doing work.
That's why your record died.
That's why they
actually self-sabotaged.
I know, right? The A&R team was just playing Mouse Hunt. So I succeeded in the end.
Yeah.
In a different way.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
You got them.
I got
So, dude, so then you do that. Obviously, the company continues to make a ton
flourish.
of games. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And then you started. Tell me about like this Dungeons and Dragons thing, because this is definitely going to be controversial.
Yeah.
Yes, which we have some questions about this.
Absolutely, because I've never played Dungeons and Dragons before. I obviously am
Is that a
Lord of
Christian
the Rings.
flex?
I'm a Lord of the Rings guy.
Yeah.
I'm I like wizards.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff.
Zelda?
Zelda, exactly. Harry Potter.
Link.
I'm into all of it.
Adventure Link?
Okay. So talk to me about this, like what you're doing now, which is literally funnier than everything that we've talked about now. And you're and at the end of the day, you're a worship leader. That's how people know you.
Mm-hmm.
But you have all these like strange hobbies
And
that make a lot of money.
And he's on the executive team for one of the biggest Christian broadcast networks as well in Canada.
Yeah.
How the D&D thing came about. So one of my worship leader friends had this amazing garage set up. He invited me to his place one time. Like we hadn't spoken in years. He's like, but I was consulting at World Vision Canada at the time, and he was an employee there. He invites me to his house, says, "Hey man, we should play D&D sometime." I was like, "Dude, my brothers played it when I was an early teen, so I was terrified of the game because my brother had this box of the milk crate in his closet that he hid from my parents, which had all of the monster books from Dungeons and Dragons."
Okay.
So I would sneak in there and like read about all these monsters and be like, "Oh man, this is amazing." But I didn't play. I wanted to play so bad as a teen.
Right.
And then one of my friends in high school lived in the trailer park. He was like he was on the fringe of society. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Yeah. Trailer park.
In the trailer park.
Yeah.
And he would invite me to come and play at his house.
Is this in French,
Quebec
is
or
this
in
French speaking,
Newfoundland?
French speaking Ontario?
This is in Espanola, Ontario, in way northern Ontario.
Yeah. So Ontario is an English speaking state. It's where Toronto is. But if you keep going like north, everybody starts to
It's basically Quebec.
speak French.
Everyone up top speaks French.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're
The Coeur de Bois.
Kirkland, Ontario, you know. My daddy talks like this. It's a really strange French accent.
My way.
My way. So yeah, anyways, I got invited to play Dungeons and Dragons by this guy, and I loved it and played it kind of for a few years at the end of high school.
Are
And
you a Christian yet?
No. Then Jason, my friend, who's another worship leader, invites me to come and play Dungeons and Dragons at his house. And I kid you not, his garage was like the size of this room, but it was fully decked out like a medieval tavern.
Cool.
Like we're talking about like deer antler chandeliers, a fire sconces around the room, like just decked out. And I was like, dude, we cannot play Dungeons and Dragons in here and not stream this on the internet. We have to stream this. No one has gone to these lengths
Right.
for Dungeons and Dragons online. Like other people are playing and it's super popular online, and there's a bunch of people doing live streaming, but no one is doing it like this.
Right.
That's dedication.
Yeah. So he agreed. We're like, okay, so let's play every Monday. We'll just live stream our games. Our sessions are 3 hours long, and we start building this audience of people who come and watch us play Dungeons and Dragons on Twitch and on YouTube for 3 hours every Monday. And
Is this still going?
well, we just we're on season 5 of this campaign called Into the Mist.
Oh my god.
It gets better.
Okay.
And so we're playing
Siaso.
Sorry?
Siaso.
What's Siaso?
So Yaso.
So Yaso.
Siaso.
Siaso.
It's a Canadian thing. I say it.
Yaso.
Siaso.
Yeah. We decide that we should get a sponsorship. So we go after sponsors and we get Wizards of the Coast, owned by Hasbro, who own Dungeons and Dragons, to sponsor our series and effectively pay us to make this content. And and then just a whole bunch of other sponsors come alongside, and now there's a bunch of Christians in a room
Right.
playing, like childhood friends, playing Dungeons and Dragons online. And we are fielding all these different discussions about, like, wait a second, wasn't there a satanic panic around Dungeons and Dragons in the 80s?
That's what I remember.
Yeah. So like there's a whole bunch of folklore around what happened with Dungeons and Dragons in the 80s. Some kids influenced by the game started supposedly killing other people and having like these satanic rituals, and it's just like it's all just no one can actually trace the real places where this information comes from.
Right.
It was so you guys have watched Stranger Things.
Of course.
Yeah, that's how it opens up with the scene in Dungeons and Dragons.
That's right. So it's like that's kind of the kind of story that is known in folklore around Dungeons and Dragons. Like this town freaks out because the kids are playing D&D and it has to do with satanic ritual, and that's why there was the satanic panic.
That's just a narrative.
It's the narrative of but ultimately it's a collective of individuals writing a story together.
So
that's what it is.
So
But
what is
listen,
so what?
The sickest thing about what they do is you can buy you can interact with the game while you're watching, you're streaming it.
So in our live streams, even this week coming up, we have a Discord server. And if you're part of the Discord, your actions within the world impact what we get to do in the game on the live stream. So like you can buy us weapons, you can help build up our
That's sick.
So
It's got an entire economy inside their game.
Yeah. It's pretty
And it
epic.
affects the gameplay. It's genius.
It's so fun.
So like, can you like, are you guys making enough money where you could do this full time?
We have a full-time employee who's like basically running. He is so Jason, who is the founder, is a like full-time employee of the company, and the rest of the voice actors and kind of actors are paid to be there to play. So yeah, so like there are many people who are playing Dungeons and Dragons full-time.
That's insane.
Can you actually beat the game, or do you just keep going?
You just keep going. Like our campaign's been going for years. There are people who have been playing Dungeons and Dragons with the same crew since the 80s.
Wow.
Like it's truly a remarkable storytelling mechanism. It's like one guy's in control and he controls the environment and the world. and then the players are reacting to what he's describing. And that's what the game is.
So how do you parent your kids who would hear about the negative things about Dungeons and Dragons as Christians, like Christian parents?
What are the to piggyback, what are some of the objections that people use? They say that, like, when people say it's satanic, what's up with that?
I don't know. I've never come across anything that's been even remotely concerning about the game. I think the main issue is the ignorance about what it actually is.
Yeah.
Maybe the rolling of dice. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Is it a satanic die?
No, it's just another. It's a polyhedra. It's a die. It has multiple faces and it gives you roll results. The roll results determine whether or not what kind of response you get to an environmental effect.
Yeah.
So
Is there like creatures, mythical creatures?
yeah, like there's a book of monsters that are kind of built into the gameplay, but no different than any PlayStation or
Right.
RPG game. There are monsters you fight. This is what I love about it. Let me tell you what I love about it.
Yeah.
I'm able to build scenarios for my kids because I've played D&D with my kids. I'm able to build scenarios for my kids that delineate the difference between good and evil.
Right.
And then have them have to make decisions that are either right decisions or wrong decisions, and do it as a collective. Like, what should we do in this terrible scenario?
Right.
You know, do we save this child from this monster? Do we
Like
fight?
ethical.
Yeah, like actual ethical challenges, and see them progress through these challenges.
That's cool.
Name me an environment where that's an easy task to have kids do these days, where you are participating as a parent.
Right.
It just does
Doesn't
not
man.
exist.
Doesn't exist. Yeah.
Doesn't exist. So Dungeons and Dragons for me is an opportunity for me to have discussions about faith, because there are faith discussions in the game. Have discussions about ethics and morality in a context that other people are willing to have those discussions.
That's rad.
So that's why I love it.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about it?
Mhm.
How does it differ from like Warcraft? Like, what's your opinion on Warcraft? I mean, what's the difference between the two games?
I mean, the rules for character progression, for updating your character, all of that, it comes from Dungeons and Dragons. So like modern RPGs are based largely on the mechanics and rules of Dungeons and Dragons. So it differs very little. Except in the improvisational storytelling element. So in like Warcraft, the world is built already. The narrative is built already. You're playing in someone else's story. In Dungeons and Dragons, the game master is laying out a foundation for the story, but you are collectively with your friends telling it. Like, I react this way, and some other dude on the other side of the table is going to be, yeah, okay, but this is what I do next. You know what I mean? Like, you are sharing in an improvisational story together.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's really, really,
It sounds like the first like multiplayer narrative.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Which, by the way, apparently, maybe I'm wrong, but is it true that Modern Warfare 2, the new Call of Duty game, has multiplayer for story?
Oh.
Do you remember Rainbow Six?
Yeah. Rainbow Six. I loved Rainbow Six.
Yeah, Rainbow Six had a thing where you and your
Campaign?
friends
Multiplayer
can all-
campaign?
multiplayer
Yeah.
campaign.
Yes.
See, because that's what this is.
Yeah.
And multiplayer campaign is like, that's freaking sick.
It's so fun to like, I'm going to move the story in this direction. And then your teammates or your friends going like, man, I don't want to do that. I want to go over here. And having to negotiate those things in a game context is really, really fun. It's super fun. So yeah, so that's how I skirt the issues.
So are
of
there like wizards and witches and stuff in Dungeons and Dragons?
Absolutely. No less than there are in any Harry Potter novel or any Lord of the Rings novel. Yeah.
And are the witches and wizards, are they good or bad, or how does it work?
Yeah, they're generally evil. If you're meeting up with a monster that's fighting against you, you are trying to do something noble. They are trying to destroy your ability to do so.
Got you. Okay, so you are Okay, got you. So the witches and the wizards are always bad guys.
Or they can be NPCs, non-player characters. So they might help the storyteller, the game master, help move the narrative forward in your campaign.
Right.
Like there's goals. Like we're all trying to fight this evil dude. Right. And there are characters along the way that are crafted so to move that story forward.
Right. So are you a human in Dungeons and Dragons?
There are many classes and
Falpher
races.
Softfoot is.
He's a halfling. So he would be like a hobbit from Lord of the Rings. Yeah. So he's a 4 feet 2 inches tall and a diminutive version of myself.
That is so awesome.
Do you dress up?
No. I'm not that deep into it. Like I love the game, but I've worn a wig at times because he has really curly hair. But he really is just a small version of me.
Right.
So, and with a really thick French accent.
Really?
Yeah. So like every time I go on the show, I'm like, this is how I speak to everyone.
Oh my god.
It's kind of warm and welcoming. I miss that French accent around.
Yeah, if you go Northern Ontario, you'll get people who speak to you that way.
It's true.
Yeah.
Can singles meet on this?
On D&D?
Yeah, like through the network.
Well, there's
Through your channel.
Oh, through our channel? I'm sure we've had people get married who've met on our Discord. So
Same.
yeah.
So in the affirmative.
So
Same
I
with
guess
us.
technically, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had multiple couples meet each other in a TheosU comment section.
Yeah.
It's stinking hilarious.
Check that out.
Kevin Max?
Yeah.
Is he coming?
He's like, hey, give me a shot when you're done.
Oh,
But,
okay.
no.
That's rad, dude.
Oh,
Yeah,
to
it's
top it
pretty
all
fun.
off, there's the Hasbro has sponsored a cruise.
Yeah. So D&D, there's this cruise called D3 at Sea, which is Dungeons and Dragons at Sea, basically. And so as part of the community, they've sponsored this cruise and kind of brought a whole bunch. So my dungeon master, game master, Jason, is like paid to be on the cruise, and they paid us to be on this cruise to help. It's like this big community.
Sure.
It's
And
next week.
Yeah, it's no different than the K-Love cruises, except for playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Sorry, where are you going on the cruise?
The Caribbean.
Right on.
Yeah,
How long is it?
8 days, I think. 8 days of Dungeons and Dragons.
And porting,
I think San Juan, and then somewhere in the Bahamas, and then back to Miami.
Cool.
I think. Yeah.
Hopefully it's not Haiti.
yeah. I don't think it is, but I could be wrong.
That would be.
There's
Hot
actually
twist.
There's actually a spot on the Disney cruise liner that stops in Haiti.
I know, but they don't tell people.
Yeah. They call it a Caribbean island.
We're just stopping here for some supplies.
Apparently they tell the people, oh, this is our own island. But it's like, no, that's Haiti. And that's a dude with a machete up on the hill.
Yeah.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
So crazy. So yeah, these conversations are pretty interesting because people lose their mind.
I guess my parents wrote it off right away.
Yeah.
Like the concept. So.
I think anything magical has the connotation of something spiritual potentially.
Mhm.
And so it's hard to conflate. It's easy to conflate one with the other and confuse it for mysticism or for some kind of weird kind of spiritual thing. And there really isn't anything like that inside of D&D. It's not like there's no prayer beforehand to a deity that doesn't exist.
Right.
There's no, it's like it's really just a bunch of folks telling a story together. And it's anyways.
What about like other issues like gaming addiction? Do you find that?
That happens much more in my previous life as someone who built a Facebook game than it does with D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at least it's actually social.
Yeah, you are face to face with other human beings doing something collaboratively, like in the hopes of having peaceful and wonderful fun together. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to do everything in my power not to have my kids play on devices every minute of every day.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, let's get around the table and tell a story together. I mean, I can't think of something more wholesome
Yeah.
right now, given our current culture.
I mean, but what you're saying about telling the story together.
Yeah,
Don't you think that's pretty profound as the way the gospel is?
absolutely.
I mean, as an RPG player, like how do you see scripture and story?
Yeah, I think we were talking about this just the other day. I think that when we consider that, Paul probably in his epistles didn't fully consider the fact that 2,000 years later there would be people whose whole lives were changed because of the letters that he wrote. Like obviously he knew he was participating in a greater story. He knew it because he was doing it, and we are the recipients of that participation in the story. But what he mustn't have known was that millennia later, there would be whole cultures that were entirely structured around the values and the approaches to life that he was writing about, right? So like the Gospels, the epistles, and really the foundational works of the Old Testament as well are this collection of inspired stories and narrative that allow us to live our lives well. I mean, in the deepest sense of well. I don't just mean like from a performative perspective. I mean from a loving perspective. And I don't think there's any more valuable thing than that. I don't think that they've even fully understood how they were participating in what the telling of God's story would look like, right? And so, yeah, I think the universe is made up of story first. That's my strong belief, that as human beings, we are built to understand the hero's journey. We're built to understand what the value of suffering is. We don't necessarily live that today. We don't want suffering. But when we look at our ideals and we look at the folks that we want to follow, the people we value most in our lives are the people we can point to and say, they went through that and got through it because of who they were holding on to. I want to be like that. There's very few people who would choose their heroes as pedantic or like sycophants who care very little about life or caring for others. You always value the people who love and perform love before all other examples, right? Just whether you're a believer or not, you don't form your life around people you don't admire. You hope to be something. You hope to be like someone, right? And so yeah.
Question about that. So that just sparked a thought. Isn't Job chronologically first?
They would, yeah.
Isn't that argued?
Mm-hmm.
And like that's like one of the first stories of suffering. That kind of just made me think of that.
Well, I think, yeah, what you're saying, Joel, is profound because in literary criticism, especially in hermeneutics, Bible interpretation, there's a lot of work out now about how telling the story is so important, and maybe modern approaches or contemporary approaches to that has sort of discarded the story in scripture. It's become topical preaching. It's become subjects. It's become more instructional versus actually gathering together to tell the story of God.
Mm-hmm.
And there's shifts in hermeneutics back to that.
Yeah.
There's shifts in approaches back to that because they see the importance of storytelling.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're wondering about narrative, well, we have a course on TheosU called Narrative Hermeneutics, and you could understand how the scripture and this movement in theology that's happening at the moment right now talks about story and how to interpret story and how to develop story rather than being topical all the time. It's kind of cool stuff. And Chris is the one who taught it. So that's pretty sweet. Get it now. Go on TheosU. Get your subscription. Don't be weird.
What he said.
For sure. I think when Christ is giving the example of the breaking of bread and the sharing of wine, what he's telling you is a story about how to remember the story. Mm-hmm. He's actually getting you to participate in the retelling of the story. So Jesus himself is using narrative context to give you the value of what you believe He wants you to understand what you are claiming. And he's doing that through story. I'm giving you my blood. I'm giving you my flesh. I'm tearing it apart for you. Participate in this through the breaking of bread and the sharing of wine. Right? So it's like, if the savior of the universe is willing to use story to convince the generations they should follow him, I think that's good enough for us.
So Mark is like the original game master. Okay. And then Matthew and Luke, and John
Our Falpher Softfoot.
I love that Nate's going there.
the party.
They're playing in there. They're playing, but Mark is the story master. Right?
Mark and priority, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yep. So they're the first
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons guys.
I love it.
I think there's an argument to be made.
This is a
for
chapter in a book.
And,
This
and
is-
writing a letter that's just streaming.
that. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The Gospels are just, look, anytime I'm reading a book, I'm just streaming that author.
Yeah. Exactly. You're
actually really
you're
good.
totally right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're streaming.
What's the
And-
dice?
Every time we read the Bible, it's just streaming.
Yeah, and the Roman roads are the internet connection. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
But
So,
the thing about story that I like is it's not packed too tight. There's room for interpretation.
mhm.
And that's, I think, theologically problematic today, is that people pack their theology so tight that when there's no room for consideration of anything else. Some people's theology is so fundamentalistic.
Mhm.
Did I make my point?
Yeah, from a-
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
from a
I'm not laughing at you. I was
okay.
laughing at me.
I think you're right to claim that there is no interpretation of the Gospels or of the Bible as a whole is to basically state that God is singularly faceted, and he's not. Truly, we have a God who is able to be your God and is able to be my God, and yet we are different. And so that means by its very nature that he has considered both me and you. And he loves us both, regardless of whether or not we agree with the precepts of what he states.
Mhm.
I think that's just true. Now, that doesn't mean we're not, once we were having this discussion last night, once we accept him as Lord, we are then to be obedient to him. And that obedience is pretty set. You know what I mean? What it looks like to fully and properly worship him, that's pretty set in stone. But that does not mean that we live outside. When he has made us, we don't live outside of his love because we don't follow his rules. We live fully inside of his love, and then as a response to him, are asked to obey under his lordship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the Bible is this. I think the scriptures are. They really are like a diamond, fully this incredibly valuable thing, and if you look at it from any angle, you might be able to see something for you in it that others can't see, but he's wide enough and deep enough and loving enough to shed light for you, and so that you can understand or get a piece of what he has for you.
Yeah, I think the story, the whole argument was that there's so much. The idea is that I know God precisely and exactly, and it's become a science and a very rationalistic approach.
Mm.
And that's the dispensation. I mean, dispensationalists do this all the time. They've boiled it down to understanding God through a science.
Mhm.
It doesn't seem that way when you read the story. It's a story, and there's elements of mystery and wonder that are left in there. And you can't do that scientifically. You have to tell the story and then let people kind of think about it and sit on that for a while and figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, I think similar to music, we're talking about music. There's something that happens when you listen to a great piece of music that is a combination of these talents, skills coming together. And if you were to pull out just the bass line of a great pop song, you'd be like, oh, what is that? Alone, it doesn't really have any power. But in combination with all the other things, it has a tremendous amount of power. It's like this unbelievable thing where you have these people uniting to craft a thing, one piece of creation together. And I think that is what we're talking about here. It's much, much deeper. I grew up Catholic, and one of the things that I miss in my modern contemporary worship environment is the aspects of beauty and reverence that come with participating as an altar boy at a Catholic church. Like the approach to God, the posture of reverence to God, the fact that I don't know everything, that the beauty is bigger than my understanding.
Participation in the mysteries.
Exactly. Those mysteries, they drive human behavior. They do. They do right now. Like if you have ever clicked on a piece of clickbait or on a headline that was sensational, it's because you are in love with mystery as a human being, because that clickbait likely is an unfinished pattern that your human brain needs to finish. You're going to go to that, you're going to see that title. It says something like
Erection pills.
Even better than that. Perform the way you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Click here.
Make your wife happy once.
Exactly. 5 different ways to make your wife happy.
Yeah.
Oh, I could use that. Click. You're trying to complete this thing, this unfinished mystery. Yeah. We have this built into us. So when you have a piece of music or a piece of art or an environment like a cathedral kind of feeding this mystery into your head, you have this innate desire to want to understand it, to want to dive into it. Eliminating that legitimately eliminates a lot of human desire to complete their effort in finding God. I think it really does.
I 100% agree. And that's the whole fundamentalist thing. It became a science. And that's why movements like the Word of Faith movement fell apart. Because look at COVID-19. What's this supposed to work? We're supposed to rebuke it. We're supposed to blow on it. Nope. Doesn't work that way.
This thing hates heat. Yeah, exactly. He's blowing on it. Oh, it's so true. I think that I like Deuteronomy 29:29. I'm taking it out of context, but
still principle.
Yeah, there's revelation. And the thing, the things that have been revealed to us belong to us, right? So there's this both and, where there is revelation about God, and I like what Grudem says, that we can't know God exhaustively, but we can know him accurately. So I can say accurate things about my wife in the same way that I can say accurate things about Joel and inaccurate things about Joel, because Joel's revealed himself in his communication to me, and God's revealed himself in his communication to me through scripture. But at the same time, I'm not going to ever know Joel exhaustively or my wife exhaustively, good God. And definitely I'll never know God exhaustively either. And there's mystery in there, exactly, But we can say, I remember hearing somebody, a theologian, I can't remember, it was a British theologian, female theologian, she was fantastic. She was a Trinitarian, and she was talking about the Trinity and definitions of the Trinity. And I probably about a year of my life I spent, on the rabbit hole in the trying to figure out the Trinity. And she said this, I'm dead serious. I was just reading everything about the Trinity. Jürgen Moltmann got me started with his economic Trinity. I'm like, this is garbage. And so, I went through the whole, so all that to say, she said something that was so profound, and it's sort of methodologically stayed with me. She said, there are no perfect definitions of the Trinity, but there are better ones. Yeah. And that is I love that posture. It's like, there are no, we're never going to grasp the Trinity in total comprehension, but there will be better articulations of who the triune God is and how the triune God relates to one another. And we will know that, through scripture. Yeah. But I love it. Like, it's both and. It's I can make accurate statements about God and about his will. And I'm never gonna, and there's so much mystery. Yeah. And it has to be both and.
Yeah, there's a book that's talking about this right now. It's called Evangelical, Pentecostal, and Sacramental. Why we should be all three.
Evangelical, Pentecostal,
and Sacramental. Why we should be all three.
Yeah. I love the city of Sacramento, by the way. It's a beautiful city.
Yes, it is. Their airport, the food scene is lacking.
Okay. Yes.
But you're not far from Napa.
That's true. That's true.
Or what's the lake there? What's the lake? Lake Tahoe. You're right there.
right?
Sacrament.
Sacramento.
Yeah, I agree, Nate. There's clear things about that are very obvious for us. What is sin? Ways to worship God, like Joel's saying. But there's that mystery element that.
Well, I think the posture of humility, right? If we are to be believers, we need to be exemplifying or realizing that there's more for us to learn. If we know all about faith, then it's impossible for us to be humble. And I think the character of Christ is one that sheds on us or kind of puts on us an understanding that we need to be humble because there is no fully understanding God. There's, like, Nate was saying, there's a proper understanding of precepts of God, or understanding the ways he is. His character has been proven over and over and over again. And so we can derive some real understanding about his character, but we can't fully know everything. That's a ridiculous concept to think that we could fully know who God is, And so, yeah, I pray that he reveals, I guess, as the modern church, do we believe that God is still revealing himself? And if we agree that he is revealing himself, then we are participating. We have to take the posture of humility in that revelation.
Well, Aquinas was saying that to think that you could figure out God would require the presumption that your mind is made up of the divine essence, because it takes divine essence to comprehend total, full divine essence. And if your mind's not divine essence, then you can't comprehend divine essence fully. And he went as far as saying that even in the eschaton, you're still not going to figure it all out.
Mm-hmm. I think God is right.
Well,
God is still God in heaven. Like we approach the finality of our life and the fear of mortality best when we understand there is a ruler in heaven who is in control of whatever happens next. And we, yes, he may be an emotional being. Yes, he is all intelligent and omnipotent. We do not become God when we die. There is nowhere that we're made to understand that once this is over, we will get all the answers. I really don't think that God intends to give us all the answers ever.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. There's no way that I die. I stand in front of God in my new body, looking like Brad Pitt.
Bartley Pitts.
Yeah. No erection problems anymore. And I look up and I go, oh, I get it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
It's
exactly. I'm not going to have the divine essence. I will have sinlessness. I'll be glorified, but I'm not going to be made of the same stuff that the triune God is made of.
Exactly. And it's ridiculous to think so.
Totally.
I guess maybe that's a false thing sometimes we tell our kids, is like when they give you like a really tough question and you're like, yeah, that's my joke now is, oh, that's a question for heaven.
Yeah. I wish Gabe.
Georgie's like, Dad, how come I can't have a sandwich?
That's not that easy.
Two questions.
I'm not the Chestertonian here. I wish Gabe was here to kind of explain this to us a little more. But Chesterton, one of my favorite things he did say in Orthodoxy was that the sane man always has 1 foot on earth and 1 foot in fairyland. He's a wanderer.
Yeah.
He's constantly thinking, and he says the sane man tries to make the guy that goes crazy tries to make sense of everything and makes everything confusing. But the guy that accepts mystery, everything becomes clear.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow,
that's good.
It's like, it's just accepting that there is a painter for the picture, and we don't know, and we are in the picture. You know what I mean? We don't know how I look at God's story and the current state of the world, and I interpret myself as a pixel in the greater picture. I have value in that. I remove myself from the picture, and there's a dead pixel there that's noticeable on a screen somewhere. But ultimately, put me in there amongst all of the story, the patterned story that God is bringing forth in the world, and the picture is made whole. But I can't know what all the other pixels are displaying. I can't possibly know that. And it's just, that is how immense the story is. We in our faith communities very often, we make small the grand idea of God.
Wow.
We really do. That's what we're doing when we say that to our kids, like, it's all going to work out, or like, there's, like God is these 7 or 5 elements of the reform movement.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or this is what the Catholic Church believes, and you need to recite these things this way for this long. And that is who God is. It's like, man, Lord, would you please guide us down a path where we can have discovery dialogue with each other about who you are into the future, because the world needs it.
That's like the whole thing with the end times. Like I'm talking about how fundamentalists here pack it so tight. God's not coming back until something's happening in America. Now we're on the end times. Oh, there's suffering in the U.S. Oh, this is it. This is the end.
This is the one. Yeah.
It's like, go over to Cambodia. They'll tell you a story of the last 30, 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my friends, he would always, he would preach to his congregation, and he'd say something like, if it's truth, then it's truth here and it's truth everywhere. Right. And so, like, if you are suffering through something and you're wondering, if it's the end times, or whether or not you should consider your situation above other situations, you're probably being selfish about the thought. You probably do need to consider others as well, and put yourself in someone else's shoes. The best angle on your life is not the one where you are viewing yourself through the lens. Navel gazing is a terrible thing.
So, okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to say,
I have the next segment after you're ready.
cool. I once heard somebody talk about how you're mentioning reverence in the Catholic Church, and I heard somebody talk about how English swear words all had to do with sex. French swear words had all to do with the church.
So I think it's true, except that French swear words have to do with the church within the confines of sex.
Like tabernacle.
Yeah. It's like, that's the tabernacle, but you only use that word during sex.
Really? Because tabernacle is, so if you didn't know this, the F word means nothing to French people.
Mm-hmm.
Tabernacle is the worst thing that you could possibly say in
Quebec?
In Quebec.
In Quebec, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is like, it's worse than the F word.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
What about? Never mind.
yeah. No, it's worse than the C word.
Okay.
Yeah. It's worse than, it's
Yeah.
the absolute worst. Now, why is that word so bad? Tabernacle.
Yeah.
Well-
what the heck?
I think it has to do with the fact that the core of the population in Quebec they are a post-Christian population,
Yeah.
born out of the Catholic Church movement, right? So there was, or rather I would say, state and public run institutions were formulated through the Catholic Church movement into Quebec. And so your whole existence was somehow either controlled or influenced by the church, whether you were in school or whether you were participating. It was highly participant in the Catholic Church, right? So if you wanted to insult the world, if you wanted to deride the world, if you wanted to talk about how terrible things were, you would just swear with the thing that was the most impactful thing you could be mad at.
Interesting.
Being mad at God is the worst thing you can be mad at.
Right. So okay. So for example, you say, Joel, that France or Quebec rather is, and the French speaking peoples, we'll say Manitoba and New Brunswick, wherever, living in the Maritimes. These folks are post-Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what's hilarious, is that they are deeply Catholic. And what I mean by that is like they'll say tabernacle, and that is the worst swear word. They still think that that's the worst thing that you could say.
For sure.
And I have a sneaking suspicion that when they say tabernacle, it's not that they don't believe in God. It's that they resent him. Like they resent the church.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that there's a little bit of a, there's a little, like at the bottom, like if the plane is going down, at their bottom, they're angry at God. They're angry at the church. Do you know what I mean? It's not that they don't, they, so in spite of his resistance, they're swearing at him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the French spirit.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that there's this Davidic approach to airing your concerns to God about what's going on. A very Job-like approach, which is like, does this really need to be this way? You know what I mean? That a certain righteous anger, like I know how to do this better than you do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anger at God, and I think that's true of most human beings. We just have different language for it. But if you think about even the English swears, if you think about the F-bomb, it is taking something that is sacred and defiling it,
Right.
Through passing angry language, right? So I would suggest, like, even in the English language, the use of the F-bomb is a middle finger to God, an angry posture towards God.
Oh. What are some other swears in French?
Zoot.
Zut alors is more like it's more like a darn, or like a, you know what I mean? It's not like
Okay.
there are some sexual ones, some sex reference swear words.
They're not English.
They're not English ones. Like there's I can't.
Is the word frog offensive?
Frog?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
if
for
you,
French people from France, though.
yeah.
We don't really call Quebecers frogs.
No, that's true. I think there's
Yeah.
I can't use it. I feel terrible when I swear. Like I actually have a certain amount of remorse afterwards. So I'm not going to use swear words from the French language here because I actually
Can you write them down?
so
I'll
that you
say
can
them.
repeat them?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He's like literally, he just writes them down.
Try and pronounce.
Like in Misery. Remember
Like in Misery.
that's a meme though.
That is a-
Have you read this book, Killer Church by Nathan Finachayo? Ah, man, it is truly one of the most impactful books I have never read. Do it.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys ready for the next segment?
Yeah.
We have a hard stop, by the way.
Okay.
I learned that language from Joel Auge.
Hard stop.
Hard stop is like in 30 minutes.
Great.
Cool.
Star 67.
Ooh.
Let's get Joel to just go to town.
In French.
I feel like the whole Dungeon and Dragons thing, Bob Larson's ministry,
Yeah.
would be quite fitting at this point.
What is it?
Who's Bob Larson?
Yeah.
The Deliverance guy. He was the guy that started the Satanic Panic over Dungeons and Dragons.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm
He can't,
Bob Larson, how do we get in contact?
maybe Bob Larson Ministries. I don't know if he has a site you can call in. He's kind of an ancient ministry. No.
Okay, so Star 67 is where we prank call someone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
So I figured maybe you could be your French, either do it in French or to be Falpher Softfoot.
Oh, you know what we should do is we should have Joel. We'll Star 67 him to a Canadian pastor, and he can pretend to be a French pastor, trying to invite like an English pastor to
speak.
Yeah, to speak in like Northern Ontario.
Yo, should we do a friend pastor then?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Matt Tapley.
We could do Tapley. We could do.
I know Matt.
We could do Justin Reimer,
Oh, yes.
or we could do Jake and Mullen.
Let's do Jaken.
Okay, let's do Jaken.
Okay, give me that.
Okay, Jaken is a pastor in Alberta.
Okay, so what are some of the details of your event?
My name is Pastor Jaques Cloutier from Église Nouvelle Vie in Montreal.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm here. I'm calling because we're putting on the best. We're putting on the best conference in the world,
Yeah.
and
100 strong.
there's going to be at least like 90 to 150 people there,
Yeah.
and plus the youth group from the two churches over.
Exactly. Yeah, and okay, so wait, let's go through this. Okay, so that's who he is.
Yep.
He's calling in, and then
What's it called?
It's called enflammé, which means
yeah,
You have to tell him
on
this.
fire.
yeah, enflammé.
Enflammé.
And
Yeah.
you tell him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just say you were highly recommended. I don't know, just Okay, what would be like the absolute like, oh, I'm not really interested in coming moment?
Yeah.
You gotta build into something.
It came in Montreal because Montreal's cool.
Yeah.
It's got to be in like
okay, in Kirkland Lake.
in Timmins, Cochrane.
Yeah, in Cochrane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that Ontario or
Yeah, it's in Ontario.
It's like
Northern
almost
Ontario.
up to Sudbury. I think
So
it's
if
maybe
we do Kirkland Lake,
yeah.
it's like 7 hours north of Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah, tell them that. Tell them.
So you can fly into Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah, you can fly. You fly into Sault Ste. Marie, and then we'll taxi you from the airport in Kirkland Lake. It's about a 7-hour drive up north.
Okay, invite them. What's the worst time to go? February?
Yeah, in February.
So we might
February's the worst.
It's going to be
So, like,
called.
So bring your snowsuit,
Oh,
you know, because
We're gonna do an outreach on the Saturday to like the local Native Americans or something.
yeah, we'll go
First
to the
Nations?
We'll go to
Very
the
cool.
First Nations Reserve and we'll have a barbecue out in the park.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Oh my gosh. Yep. And then just give them a bogus email, and then just end the call or whatever.
Jaken.
Hi, this is Pastor Jaques Mullen from Home.
Did you star 67?
No. So he could. Should I try again?
Yeah, try again.
Yeah, try again.
Yeah. Always try the second time.
By the way, he's in Red Deer, and you know him somehow.
Okay.
Like maybe your
Yeah.
spiritual fathers or
Oh, okay.
Or Art Canada.
Arc Canada.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell them that you.
Hello?
Hello. Is
Hello?
this Pastor Jacob?
Yes, who is it?
This is Pastor Jaques Cloutier. I'm calling from Kirkland Lake, Église Nouvelle Vie. Wondering if so this is Jaken, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Pastor Jaken, we run a little program in Northern Ontario. It's called Enflammé, which is like a youth retreat. Sorry, a little bit of a cough. And we get it's north, just north of Sault Ste. Marie. It's about 7 hours north in Kirkland Lake, and it's in February, and we're wondering, if we've got maybe about 60 or 70 youth from our church plus the native church down around the corner, and wondering if perhaps you'd consider coming and speaking with us.
Possibly. What? Have we met before?
Yeah. Well, you probably would not remember me, but I was at the Arc. I forget what it's called now. I'm sorry, my English is so bad.
No, that's fine. In Calgary.
That's right. In Calgary.
I
Yeah.
remember you.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
I remember you.
Yeah, sorry, the connection seems a little bit bad, but yes, we'd really we so enjoyed your time there, and we would love if you could, can I get your email and maybe send you some details?
Yeah, I think that's the best thing to do. My email is
Now that's Mullen with Mullin.
Ian.
Oh, Ian. Oh, right. Okay, thanks. Okay, so just a few more details. Like we're probably gonna go out. This is in February. It's the best time of the year for us to be able to do some maple syrup popsicles.
Oh, cool.
Sorry. And
You still there?
sorry, it's
Hello?
just really sorry. The connection up here is so bad.
No worries.
So then.
Maple syrup popsicle.
I'm seeing stars. Should we text him and say, hey, the connection went out?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just kidding.
Joel, you are an unbelievable person.
The best part. Jaques is such a sweetheart. So he's like, oh yeah, I remember you.
Oh, that is so amazing. He is so nice. Oh God.
Doesn't want him to feel bad.
It's February, the best time of year.
The best time of the year for maple popsicles.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Oh my Lord Almighty.
His church has a ministry to like so they're in Red Deer, Alberta, which is like 2 hours north of Calgary.
Yep.
And his church, and it's in between Calgary and Edmonton. And they have a ministry. They have a ministry
funny.
to like a local, like a Muskogee or something, like Native First Nations
Yep.
peoples. Like they I spoke at their thing earlier this year, and they brought this whole tribe of kids. And so he's like super, like if you say First Nations, he's in.
Yeah.
What was your name?
Jaques Cloutier.
How do you spell that?
Jacqueues, like the proper Jacques.
Yeah, Jacques.
Cloutier is Cloutier.
Cloutier.
Jacques Cloutier.
Isn't that the Pink Panther's name?
Jacques Cousteau.
He's
Clouseau.
Inspector Clouseau.
Yeah.
Okay, next segment.
Yeah. Meme review.
I've screamed laughing during one of those, and you could hear it in the mic, and it kind of got thrown off. I was shaking. I couldn't. What was making you laugh?
I was just imagining these kids going out for puffs. For me, I was like, in my mind, I was like, the event was happening, you know?
All right.
Okay, just in case anybody knows, if you are a pastor in Canada, strike one, okay? Because Canada's cold.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just cold. It's like living in Canada is just strike one. If you're a pastor in Canada, it's really a strike two. It's like you make no money.
Mm.
People hate you,
Hey,
right? Like being a pastor in Canada is awful because Canadians just
you fight so much.
Oh,
You
totally.
fight the culture. You fight the weather. You fight. Yeah.
and Canadian Christians are literally awful to each other. and then number three, on top of all that, you get invited to other Canadian Christian churches, and that's what really hurts.
But that shows how beauty of a person.
Totally, yeah,
Jaques is.
he would go, yeah. But it's like, I mean, oh my gosh, dude, I have the craziest stories. The craziest stories that I have of traveling is in Canada.
Oh yeah, same here.
I mean, dude, you played 302 years. You know what like Canadian churches are like.
yeah, absolutely.
They give you $50 and you sleep in like the pastor's daughter's bedroom
yeah,
in the bunk beds.
Got a spam call.
Do you know what I mean? You do? Pick it up.
Put it up.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Palmer.
Hi.
Hi, this is Olivia from Medicare Provider.
Oh, hi.
Today regarding... Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, this is Olivia from Medicare Provider. I'm calling today regarding the new Medicare card. Did you receive the new one or not yet?
I don't know if I got the new one, but I've been having trouble with my bum. I think I have an infection in my rear end. Spam
Chris
calls.
is getting a real.
He gets spam calls like every hour, and they're
We have
always
to answer them.
And they're always during the thing, and I always spam call. Is it an annoyance or is it an opportunity?
Amen.
Right?
Turning it into an opportunity from an annoyance is a real gift.
Exactly.
It's a spiritual.
I don't
gift.
get Medicare. I don't know what this was about.
Yeah, I was gonna say that wasn't our new healthcare, was it?
Stephen Furtick, set back or set up? Thank you.
Lay back or lay up.
Lay back, lay up, or lay down.
A lay. Is this a lay up or a lay down?
Yeah.
Okay, meme review.
Meme review.
Okay.
Okay, Joel, is there any any memes have you seen that made you laugh in the last little bit?
Gosh.
This is my favorite. Egalitarian pastors on a Sunday with
You
huge
like that,
attendance.
Joel?
They're just like, oh, I'm so into you, hon. Our church is growing. Oh, who's the best pastor ever? That's a
Okay,
pretty good
I got
one.
some laughs on the meme page recently.
I love the pastor's son. Oh, the worship at Lance Wallnow's Seven Mountains conference. That was pretty good.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to bring this one up. When the preacher tell everyone you got healed, but you still hurting like a MF.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. I like pastors' kids this Halloween trying to trick their dad into spending time with them. Kids dressed up like a Bible.
You finally looked at me. Oh, did you see this one?
Oh man.
Jesus. I like that one.
Yes.
That was pretty good.
I like this one. I need to leave church as soon as it's over. Starter kit. It's got a pot roast. The guy sleeping. Football.
It's too accurate. So good. It was a pretty good week in memes.
It was a good week in memes.
It was a good week.
All right, what's our last segment?
Last rant.
We can do the last rant. Yeah.
The last rant?
Is it last rant?
Beyond
No.
Stipiak?
Yeah, there you go.
Beyond Stipiak. Do you have any Beyond Stipiak?
Bones to pick.
Yeah, I constantly have bones to pick.
Yeah.
Would you like to pick one?
Sure, let's pick one.
Yeah.
I have a bone to pick with anyone who is who brings attention to. I mean, is this the kind of thing you're talking about? Like, who brings attention to differences rather than trying to unify things? We're trying to. You know, I'm the chief growth officer for a ministry in Canada, and we're non-denominational, right? So we have a plethora of different people across the organization and serve the church broadly in Canada. So I have a bone to pick with folks who are trying to divide rather than bring together. I mean, I think we're already fighting a cultural battle. Believers versus, especially in Canada, believers versus the secular world and secularism as a whole. And it's a really, really great tactic that I think is a spiritual tactic that's used against the church to basically bring about division through the nitpicking of doctrine.
Right.
I think it's a massive, massive way to slow down the movement of the church.
Give me an example. What are some nitpicking?
Yeah. Do you have a Beyond to pick with TheosU?
Is it doctrine or is it like sociological? You ever notice it's not about like the Trinity or like something like that's important. You know, it's like, I just didn't like the way that they portrayed Jesus.
Yeah.
There's no cross at Crossroads anymore. Where's the cross? You know what I mean?
Let's put the cross back in Crossroads.
The building was sold at Crossroads to pay off debt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And one of the first things that happened was the cross was taken down.
Right.
And there's it was like one of the first things that we heard from people was like, there's no cross there anymore.
Right.
Now they call it 10 Huntley Street.
Yeah.
It's just not holy enough to be 100 Huntley.
We need you guys to 10x that, So there's that. There's also things like, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I have a bone to pick with people who bring down major music church movements because they don't theologically agree with a lyric inside of a song.
Right.
I agree that there should be some theological basis for what we put into the mouths of our congregants.
Sure.
I really do believe that.
Sure.
But I also believe that, to our earlier conversation about narrative and storytelling, that the interpretation of words, the moving of words out of a human being's mouth, very often is like worship may be the first thing that comes out of a non-believer's mouth as a confession to God of their need. So when it comes down to like really, really getting the words right, I can't tell you how many times I've written a song that probably isn't theologically sound. And I don't know that it's the best thing for the church to dismiss a whole movement outright just because of one theological misgiving.
Yeah, we're not singing Hillsong anymore because I heard that like K-Love is like they've removed Hillsong from all
their playlists.
All of their playlists.
Really?
Yeah, because they don't like the word Hillsong. So apparently they like if they play Oceans, it's Taya.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
That's to me is crazy.
That's stupid.
That's cancel-ish.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, it's
stupid.
It's another aspect of woke culture. It's just like if we see any moral question about what's going on and whether it's doctrinal or kind of an action that's happened in your life, we are the arbiters of your success.
Yeah.
And that's to me that's terrible.
But wouldn't you? I think the problem though is like if all the songs go unchecked theologically, you have massive movements that have the most influence in worship and in churches that are putting garbage songs in the mouths of the people.
But that's not what Joel's saying.
Let's think about that for a second. What you just said, like you're stating that because one song has a lyric.
No, a
that may
ton
not
of
be-
songs.
Okay, so let's imagine that was the case. That there's a ton of songs, and we're not just talking about 3 or 4 songs that are like core songs, but we're talking about a ton of songs. Do you think that the church as a whole, and I'm talking church capital C, would actually use those songs in those churches just because this other one music movement decided that song was good enough to put on a record? I don't think pastors internationally who are leading their churches are just going to put a song on the list or allow a song to be played on a list if they don't actually believe that song is true.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean?
I think that's mostly true. I think most pastors are pretty nitpicky about songs.
I guess it's just the themes that are.
Yeah, I think it's the themes.
The themes I have a bone to pick with the themes.
It's the Bless Me God songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's just way too many of those.
It's just the focus is just.
And I believe in Bless Me God. You know what I mean? Like I'm in that. I believe that Jesus came that we'd have life and life to the fullest. And I think that includes now. You know, and I think that the song "The Blessing" is actually a great freaking song. And it's just the Bible that you're literally singing. You know, but it's like, you know, Cody and Carrie Job sing a lot more other songs than just "Bless Me God" songs. You know, I mean, Cody literally has a song that says, "I'm not here for blessings." It's not a Cody issue.
Yeah.
But there is like a larger thing at play. I think in the evangelical world, particularly in America, where it's like all the songs are just about me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's
Or
true.
many of the songs. Are
Yeah, I think it's true that we have to watch the posture of our hearts when we're writing songs, when we're singing songs, when we're adding songs to our set lists.
Yeah.
Like what are we saying? But I don't know what's in people's hearts.
Yep.
But I would wager, I shouldn't, but I would wager that most worship leaders who are serving in their churches are trying to do something that is appropriate for their community to the best of their abilities.
Yeah. Okay, which leads me to my rant. This is my bone to pick. Worship leaders that talk too much. Okay,
I can go. I don't have to stay.
No,
I can just leave.
I want you to stay here. Okay, because I'm looking at you.
We're not on podcast.
Okay, so here's the deal.
During worship.
Yeah, during worship, exactly. So it's like you're up there. Have you ever been in a worship service with these people? It's like, just sing the song, dude. It's like you literally, like, please stop talking. Please stop talking. Like, dude, don't pray in between every single. Have you ever been in a service where it's like, in between every single song, the worship leader's like, God, that really is the cry of our heart. And then we'll just like summarize what we just sang. It's like, dude, we just sang that for 4 minutes. Like,
you're literally, that is what I do.
Stop. You do not.
That's every single time I lead worship, I have to put in as much time for my diatribe as I do for the songs. It's the only way I bring any value.
You're such an idiot.
YouTube's Joel Auge leading worship.
No, it's
Is
like
this true?
No, it's not. No, seriously. Like they'll get up and they're like, "Hey guys, I just, today I was reading my Bible." It's like, no, you weren't. This morning as I was doing, you didn't do your devotions this morning, dude. You woke up in a panic. You were late. You got your butt here. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And it's just, there's this psalm that is called the Shepherd Psalm, and it's like, I just think that we need to like really tell God He's welcome here. Just no, just stop. Somebody turn his mic off. MD, can you please start the click already?
Yeah.
Fire the next track.
I think that's where MDs are really powerful people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you have a music director who knows the worship leader and they're really good at it, they'll know like, oh, guys, a click's coming in. We're going into the first verse.
Exactly.
Shut this guy up. Here we go.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just it is. That's probably my. Yeah, exactly. Verse 2, 3, 4.
That was actually the sound right there. That's that crappy reused multi-track lick. Beyond Topek?
Chris, what's your
I'm
bone?
taking it a different way here. I mean,
Take it.
Yeah.
I think that too many establishments play pop music when you walk in.
So true.
I am so tired of going to eat, going shop, going anywhere, and I gotta listen to the top 40.
Yeah, dude, I was at
Can't stand it. Like
I was
play
at,
something like subtle. Like why does it always got to be Taylor Swift in my ear? You know?
I took my alcoholic wife to Wines and Spirits yesterday in Franklin, and they were playing "Smooth" by Rob Thomas and Carlos Santana, and I was like,
This is what I needed.
There's the Starbucks on Hillsborough. It's the nicest Starbucks. It's nice, in my opinion. It's the coffee shop I go to here in the area. I've been to all of them. I'm not a coffee snob. I do like that Starbucks. Every hour of every day. If I go at 8:30 in the morning, if I go at 10 p.m. at night or 8 o'clock at night, they're playing disco, 70s disco. Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Yes.
A Barry White.
Starbucks music is actually typically pretty good.
Dude, I mean, it's like if you would have gone there one time, you wouldn't notice it. But if you go, sometimes, at HQ, it's like, I got to go out. I got to go work somewhere. And I go there. Imagine sitting there every time, hearing the same disco song. Like, play something.
And can I just say this, though? And this is, sorry, I'm just jumping in here. Yeah. But you got, Alvino did Flow. But now my brain is just working. New Taylor Swift record. Oh. Haven't heard it.
Yo, this is Brainwaves. This was about to be my bone beyond Tip. Yeah,
go ahead.
10.
I haven't heard it, but really, that it's the top 10 songs.
Top 10 Billboard. I just literally pulled it up.
Are Taylor Swift songs.
Yeah.
Dude, I haven't heard it, and I already know that is a load of BS. And it's a commentary on the music. The music industry. Exactly. It's like, dude, this is why I can't even take anything that's happening right now seriously anymore. Because it's like
honesty has been thrown out the window.
It's totally gone. Exactly. It's like,
this is business to the T.
Taylor Swift, they created her. And she has given back to them, right? So she's like she clicks, she checks all of the PC things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She checks all, women power, feminist, hey man, hater, get my own tracks. I'm never going to listen to it.
Yeah, I mean,
play it around.
Okay, this is funny. I wanted to bring this up because I listened to it the first time and didn't quite understand it. I'm about to do my third listen through. Yeah. And it's actually growing on me.
Yep. Is it good?
But I have some Beyonce to pick with it.
Yeah, what's your Beyonce to pick?
It's very disjointed. Like it's if what you just described without having heard it, it's like you put this into a machine and then the machine. It's like those AI drawings. Have you seen AI drawings?
I use them constantly.
Yeah. It's like an AI drawing record.
Spammers. Hello? Hello?
May I speak to Susan?
Yes, is this Olivia? That's a chick that called me earlier.
It's my mom's name, by the way.
Nice.
They're calling me for my mom. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. So anyways, it sounds like AI generated music.
Yeah, kind of like it's some of it's really catchy and there's some cool stuff and some great sonic moments and all this stuff.
It's gonna be pop. It's pop. It's
almost too disjointed. I don't know. It's just my first take.
I guess my issue is I'm
enjoying it.
Once again, okay, it's a Taylor Swift record, so of course there's going to be some decent songs and there's going to be some decent harmonies and some decent storytelling, and of course, yeah, I know that's there.
Yeah,
but it's like this is what you've done to music that you so hate. Great music. You so hate rock and roll. You so chased the Tim Christensens and the Brandon Flowers and all these other people so far out of wanting to be a musician anymore. You know what I mean? And create something meaningful that and you do this and you crown this predictable garbage. It's like, no.
And there's got to be like there's insider trading here as well.
Oh yeah.
To be the top 10.
There's well, it's not all that different from the last Drake record dropping and Spotify basically giving him the front page of everyone's Spotify page. You know what I mean? It's
Positioning.
It's that.
It's
It's positioning.
I have a friend who is an artist, and my friend knows the person who does all of the Spotify playlists. And my friend drops a song, and the song goes number 2 on the Spotify playlist. And that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's not that he deserved to be on the list.
Yeah.
Even though it was a great song, is that it was positioning.
It's
Like,
it's not a democratization of music.
No.
It's not a
the best isn't going on the playlist.
Mm-mm.
People who know people
Mhm.
are getting on the playlist. And that is probably what's a little bit frustrating. And I think this is what Elon Musk is getting at. And he's trying to change Twitter.
Yeah.
You know, I love the last couple tweets that the White House has done. Instead of fact checking, because fact checking is such BS,
Mhm.
he goes, well, other readers are saying that there's some missing context here. And it wasn't fact checking. It's just, it's a conglomerate. Apparently he's creating a council for all of the, for content moderation and stuff like that, where it's not just a bunch of people who think the same, but it's going to be a diverse group who are going to decide who stays on Twitter and who doesn't. And these diverse group will include people on the left, people on the right, people in the center. You know what I mean? Soccer moms, you know, feminazis, all of them.
I dream of the day when we can have dialogue and dialogue in its true sense, where there are two opposing views coming to a place of discussion, having a sharing of ideas that then can somehow transmutate into the other person's mind a little bit.
Right.
Like that exchange is actually kind of what civil society is built upon.
Absolutely. Gotta be.
You know?
My only other bone to pick was Lavender Haze. The first song on the record is a direct rip of Maggie Rogers' Alaska song.
Interesting. I haven't heard the whole record yet. I've heard Antihero, which I quite liked on first listen.
It's catchy, man.
Yeah.
I saw a funny tweet the other day, and I thought it was really true. It said, I listen to the same 10 songs every day, and they hit.
That's so relatable.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Oh my goodness.
You go through that rotation of 10. You have about 10 songs, and you may listen to one that's outside of that, but you're coming back to those 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, I
So true.
do hate that there are stellar artists that live outside the scope of marketability who deserve to be really recognized.
True.
But we need it. Like music needs it. Like I need to know who those people are. I don't even know where to look anymore.
Yeah.
Like if I go on like Spotify keeps just suggesting crap to me.
Yeah.
Like Apple keeps on suggesting crap to me. I'm like, dude, like I know that there's great music out there. Why do I have to like?
I don't
You're not letting me find it.
Do you want me to play you
Yes.
my best song I've ever written?
Yes.
And the backstory is that he played this for the Weeknd.
Oh yeah. Abel.
In his apartment in Toronto.
At his penthouse suite.
Ooh, it sounds good.
All
I
right.
got a mic hidden down there.
Do you really?
Honey, dance with me, 'cause you know I'll be leaving soon. Honey, laugh with me, 'cause that's what I need to get me through. Yeah, I don't need the stars, as pretty as they are, to get me through the night. I'd rather have you right beside me. honey, oh, honey, oh, honey, I need you. Oh, yes, I do. Honey, yeah, I know it's early, but come with me, baby. Pack your bags, but hurry, 'cause I want you beside me, and I need you beside me. You're my lady, and I need you. Oh, I need you. Yeah, I don't need the stars, as pretty as they are, to get me through the night. I'd rather have you right beside me, hey, honey. Oh, honey. Oh, honey. I need you. Oh, yeah. I need you beside me. Beside me. Forever, ever, forever more.
Joel Auge.
Do you have that?
Jalaja.
Is that like on iTunes? Could I? Not yet.
It's not been recorded.
It's never been released.
Okay, you guys want to hear the best song I've ever written?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
I just want to say, Joel, when I get married one day, I'm gonna hire you to play that when my bride walks down the aisle. I'm
Nice!
serious. Like I'm about to cry right now.
Dude,
Like I'm moved.
thank you.
I freaking love it.
Frankenstein, Frankenstein, you don't have to be Frankenstein.
I love this one.
Frankenstein, Frankenstein, don't take my car, don't crash it, don't burn it, don't take my car, don't crash it. You can't crash a cat. You're Frankenstein. You're stupid if you think that you could crash a cat. You freaking idiot. You're not even a human. Oh, don't start crying, Mr. Frankenstein. 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 You're not a human. Nobody likes you. Frankenstein. Mary Shelley was right. This was her point the whole night. The villagers are here and nobody wants you around.
Did you play that for Abel?
Yeah, I did.
If someone were to give you a
I got
topic-
thrown out.
If someone were to give you a random topic, could you just jam about it off like impromptu?
Yep.
100%.
The only problem is we have a hard stop.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show, Joel Auge.
Thank you, Joel Auge.
Yeah.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Auge.
Auge.
Joel Auge. Is there another? No. Shall we wait for another, or is Joel Auge the Messiah we've all been waiting for? Personally, I think he is. And I also think that you knew that I would say that. But here's the thing. Let me tell you about Joel, okay? Joel's the kind of guy that you want in the room with you when you're playing pool. Because every shot is a money shot. And here's the thing. I heard one time Joel Auge was hunting, and a wild mountain goat came up to him and said, "Joel, can you sing like me?" And Joel said, "I can sing better." And so they had a singing contest, him and the wild mountain goat. And the wild mountain goat was so inflamed with jealousy and envy of Joel's voice.
It's true. This is all true.
That the wild mountain goat attacked him with a herd of other wild mountain goats behind. And Joel single-handedly killed all of them with his voice. His voice turned into a superpower. Like Cyclops' eyes, well, that was his voice. And that's why we love him. Because he has that kind of power.
Pure.
All true.